This recruiting season, we've gone into this after evaluating what we did during the season, our strengths and our weaknesses, and what I felt we needed to do to get better at. We've gone into this recruiting season to hit a couple different points. Number one, get better at the kicking game. Make sure that we have the guys, the kicker, the snapper, and those guys in there at the game to help us be better than that. Number two, make sure our defensive line has the depth and that we improve that position with some older guys to come help with the mix of young guys that we already have here on campus. Number three, there was a position on our defense called rush. It's a position that is really important because it turns our defense from a 3-down line to a 4-down line. And there's a certain body type and a certain guy I like at that position. And I have one on campus, but he's going to be a redshirted freshman next year. So I wanted to get a guy to come in and play that position who was a little older, so I could bring the younger guy on and give us step. In that past, we've had Javancy Jones in that position. We've had Sean Bishop in that position. We've had Eric Bowie in that position. But I like a guy that's 6'3" or better, who can really run well and has great range. And so that's what we want to set about doing. And then the fourth thing is to make sure that we add depth to our offensive line. What we did today, we signed 6 players, kicker, snapper, 2 defensive linemen, a linebacker, and a receiver that I really think is a special kind of guy that's going to help us to replace Ramik and some of the other guys, some of the seniors that we lost at the receiver position. And first guy is Logan Bowers. Logan Bowers is a kicker. He's a transfer from East Tennessee State. He has 3 years left to play. The reason why I wanted Logan is because Logan kicked a little bit at East Tennessee. He was a walk-on there. They didn't scholarship him, so he wanted to get out. And he's coached by a guy who owns one-on-one kicking, Mike McCabe, who's a good friend of mine. And I've had Mike McCabe's kickers. I had Cairo Santos at Tulane. I had Mike Conbanani and Delbert Alvarado at South Florida. And it's never failed to have one of Mike's guys be really good. Matter of fact, I had David Albert at Alabama State, who was a really good kicker there. And so I like Mike's guys. This guy is a guy that I really believe that we get the ball to the 32-yard line at the end of the game, we can win the game with him. That's a 49-yard field goal. That's the thing that we practice on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And I believe this guy can do it. The next guy is Josh Rice. Josh is from Santa Ana Community College in California, originally from Chicago. Josh is a 6'3", 195-pound receiver that's dynamic. He played 17 games in junior college and had 17 touchdowns, well over 1,000 yards worth of receiving yards. He's dynamic with the ball, and he has some of the biggest hands I've seen on a 6'3" receiver in my. He 50-50 balls. He's a 50-50 guy, and adding him in with Bowie and Crowell and Kennedy and Dalen Baldwin, I think we've put a receiver corps together that's second to nobody's. Next guy is Riddell Washington from Southwest Mississippi Community College. Riddell is a defensive lineman, a thick guy who I wanted to make sure that we can bolster against the run. So I was looking for a couple guys that had the athleticism to play in our defense, but could give us a little bit more girth in there. So we signed Riddell. And Riddell is a 6'3", 270-pound guy that's really good strength and really strong at the point of attack and has some athleticism. And the other guy is Keyshawn Brinkley, who we signed out of Colin Community College. Keyshawn is 6'6", 275 pounds or so. He would bring to mind Malik Hamner to you, because that's who he kind of looks like, Malik. And I was looking for a guy that, could give us that extra oomph on the defensive line. I think these guys bring that to us. The next guy is Paxton Branning. Paxton is a long snapper from Mississippi Delta Community College. I took Paxton because Paxton came to our camp this summer, and I had the chance to time him and to time his snaps. And he's exactly what I'm looking for in a snapper. He did a great job at Mississippi Delta in snapping, and I think he gives us a little bit more security at that position, and I'm glad to have him come aboard on our football team. The next guy we talk about is Terry Joyner. Terry Joyner is a 6'4", 225-pound linebacker from Northeast Mississippi. I recruited Terry a couple years ago out of Noxubee County. Terry ended up going to junior college, and he came out. Terry had an injury toward the end of the season in a car accident, and I think he missed the last couple games this season, but he was leading the state of Mississippi in tackles. When he got hurt, he averaged 9 tackles a game, and he's that guy who's a rush, who's that hybrid guy that can give you the pressure off the corner in the pass rush. He can come up and take on the guards and things and pullers. He can play man to man on tight end and backs, and then he can line up at depth and scrape and fill and plug as a linebacker. And so that's why him. And then in terms of guys, those are 6 guys that we signed. And we're still going to add some other guys as we go forward. You know, we've got to bolster our depth on our offensive line as we lose. We only lose 1 guy, but we'd like to get a little bit more range and length in the offensive line. So we'll sign some guys in the second signing period at that position that has some length, that's a little taller and a little bit more rangier to play at the tackle positions, because I think we're really solid inside at the guard with Mouton, Dunbar, and Jalen Jones. And Jalen actually plays tackle right now. But I think if we could get him inside, and then having Amari Catchings also in there, we got a pretty firm inside. And so I just want to make sure that we can protect Jalen Jones, the quarterback, a little better on the edge with the edge rushers. And so we're looking for guys for that. Also, we'll sign a couple DBs for depth purposes. Obviously, we got a bunch of starters back in the secondary. So we'll sign some depth purposes guys there at corner and at safety. And probably we'll take 1 quarterback, because I don't know if you guys heard news, Derek Ponder has left the program. So we'll add a quarterback, a young guy that hopefully will help us to go as we go forward as a football team. Questions?
Obviously a lot of JUCO guys. Was that a point of emphasis for the early signing day?
I looked at a guy who was a graduate transfer, didn't work out. I just wanted some older guys. You know, when you've got guys and you need to replace CJ and Khalil, you know, we've got some guys who have played in the games here. You know, we've got some young guys that are coming through the pipeline. I just felt we needed some older guys to help bridge the gap between those young guys who are coming in the pipeline as juniors and as redshirt freshmen and those guys who are you know, Jamani Crane's going to be a good player. Obviously, Vincent McIntosh will be a junior next year, and you know, Bryant Mitchell will be a senior next year, and JT Reagan who'll be a junior next year. I thought we needed to add some more age to our group to help us let those younger guys who we have coming behind them, like Keyshawn Williams and Devontae Davis, guys who are coming behind them, to give them some chance to mature and get ready to play.
So is it going to be, you say you want some older guys, but the next signing day, you know, in 2020, you guys going to be looking out for some of the younger guys? Oh,
no, we're going to sign a couple more young guys. Oh, no doubt. We'll sign a couple young guys in February. You know, we've got a guy who last year, Keyshawn, who will be a redshirt freshman, Keyshawn Williams, will be a redshirt freshman next year. We play a 3-down group. We'll sign a couple young defensive linemen. We have a couple guys that we have our eyes on from who we really like and who seem to really like us, and then you'll hear about that in February.
Were there any, you know, were there any surprises today? Did everything pretty much go as planned?
It went as planned. I thought it went as planned. We still have one out there that we got in late, and so we have to go through the process, get that, and that's an offensive lineman that we'll sign, that will add the 7th kid to this class. But in terms of us doing what we wanted to do, we did exactly what we wanted to do. Help the kicking game, help the rush position, and then bolster our defensive line depth, and then add a little longer guy. We got a 6'4" guy who will be signing with us here in the coming days as an offensive lineman who's a tackle guy who can play both inside and outside here. And we'll get him signed. When he gets signed, we'll announce that when it happens.
Coach, in terms of your kicking game, those guys recruits that you signed, are you looking to play them?
Oh no, if they don't start, then I've wasted my time. If they're not the guys, then I've wasted my time. I believe that these guys are the guys that can come in and do what we need them to do. There'll be somebody else. I'll get another younger guy in terms of kicker that'll be coming in. There'll be another guy so we can have the competition edge. I've got a couple really good young guys who are also one-on-one kicking guys that I will take one of those guys, and we'll in February, and we'll bring him in. And then we got the kid O'Neal who's already on campus, so we'll have a little competition in the kicking game.
You guys signed 5 guys, I believe, last year in the early signing period, 6 guys this year.
Mm-hmm.
Going into this particular deadline or whatever, what are you kind of looking forward to? Like, what are the expectations heading into the early signing day?
Well, you know, just to take care of those needs that we have. I identified them as needs as the coach, and I believe we address the needs that we have. I mean, we still have some other things we have to do that we'll fulfill. You know, we may even take another older guy somewhere down the line, you know, because you got some guys that are really good players who are in the transfer portal, who are junior college guys that graduate late. Like last year, we got Mutan late. You know, we took Mutan. We got Jalen Jones in the early period. We took Mutan late, and both of them end up starting for us. So, you know, we'll do similar thing to that. If there's a guy out there that we identify, a guy that we think can come and fit into our culture and our football team, we will take that guy. And you know, that's where it comes with that. That's where it comes with those graduate transfers and those guys in the portal. I really vet those guys really seriously, because you don't want to bring somebody in your locker room that's going to disrupt the flow of what you're trying to do. And so we'll make sure that we vet those guys down to all these guys that we're bringing in here. Terry Joyner is a really disciplined, really conscientious football player. Joshua Rice is outstanding. I mean, this is a big-time receiver. You guys need to go on the internet and watch him. He's a big-time receiver, and every touchdown he caught, he just ran out, handed the ball to the receiver to the official, and ran off the field. He's a locker room guy that's going to bring character into our locker room, and that's what my big call is for right now. As the head coach, we have got to add character to our program. Guys that can't bring guys in just because they have ability. Ability is not enough. It is not enough. You know, you've got to have the character piece. You got to have the accountability and the dependability piece. And if you get that with guys, then you got a chance to put a football team on the field that can be competitive and win some football games for you.
Can't teach size, but Keyshawn Brickley being, like you said,
oh no, I like guys that look me in the eye. I mean, I'm just being real. They look me in the eye, I like them. You know what I mean? I just have this affinity for guys that look me eye to eye. You know what I mean? And Brinkley's taller than I am, and so you know, we want to add some length and some range to our football team on both sides of the ball. And these guys bring some, you know, you even look at Joyner. Joyner's a 6'4" linebacker. We've got, you guys haven't seen him yet, but Keith Lopez, who is redshirted this year, he's a 6'5" linebacker that's going to back him up. That'll be a backup at that position next year, who is really athletic, can run, and just has a good leadership quality about him. And that's the kind of guys I want in this program that understand that it's not about me. It's about us. It's about the team concept. And if we have those kind of guys playing for us, we don't have to worry about winning games. That takes care of itself. And so that's what we're searching, and that's what we're hunting, and that's what we're trying to develop in this program.
I'm good with recruiting, but Derek Ponder, what's the situation? He just announced.
He just came in and told me at the end of the season that he thought he needed to go do something else and play his last year. And I told him I didn't want him to leave the program because I love Derek. Derek has played a lot of good football for us around here, and that if that's what he wanted to do, I would help him. You know, I mean, I love the kid. I mean, if the kid come and ask me to call somebody for him, I'd do that in a minute, because he's a character kid. He's going to put a day's work in, and you know, I'm absolutely, you know, I'm not saying I'm mad that he's gone, but I'm really, you know, in my feelings a little bit that he decided to leave, if you want to put it that way.
Coach, speaking of you know, other things other than recruiting, Keontae happens to receive a lot of postseason awards.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, Keontae is a special kid. You know, I've been blessed because I had the opportunity to recruit Keontae, and he's a quality young man. And the one thing people don't realize about Keontae, he's tougher than a $2 steak, because there was not one game this year that he didn't play injured in. He played injured in every game. He got hurt in the first game, had the rib problem for about 3 or 4 games, wore a flak jacket, took it off, had a knee problem, hurt his ankle, hurt his foot, stoved and broke his fingers. And I asked Keontae, I said, hey, you going to be able to play this week? He said, don't worry about it, Coach. I'll be there Saturday. And he showed up every Saturday. And, you know, his toughness far exceeds any award that he can win. I mean, the guy is tough. You know, I mean, he's a smart football player. He runs our defense. He gets everybody lined up. He makes all the checks. And he plays, you know, come hell or high water. You know what I mean? You can't beat having a guy like that on your football team. I wish I had 22 of them, because if I had 22 of them, we'd wreck shop. So, because he's special now. I'm just telling you now. I'm thankful that he has 2 more years left to play for us.